That's right, I'm still here. I spent 6 days at this beautiful site in Montana, but it's time to move on. I can't really explain why, but I've always dreamed of driving north until the road literally ends. And so I've decided to drive to Land's End in the Arctic Ocean. My goal for this summer is to reach the small town of
Tuktoyaktuk
and dip my toes in the Arctic Ocean. I don't really know what to expect attempting this. It might be easy or it might be really hard, but I think it should be interesting. So I hope you enjoy this series of videos as I journey to the Arctic. I'm treating some of my clothes with permethrin because the mosquitoes in Montana are ridiculous and I fear it's only going to get much worse. So if this works, I will be able to at least go outside without lathering myself in bug spray every single day, which, as you might imagine, is pretty inconvenient when your home doesn't have a shower. I'm up on Desert Mountain and somebody dumped a bunch of trash up here, and I was just wondering, is there somewhere I could take it? And because I'm traveling, so I can't take it home. Okay. Awesome. I spent a lot of time complaining about this vent fan, and I think part of that is because it's really an essential piece of my van. It keeps it habitable in here in the summertime, and then in the winter, it's absolutely crucial for managing condensation and moisture inside the van. So a week ago, the motor controller board died. I think I know what happened now. Thank you to everyone in my comment section who helped me figure this out. You guys are really smart, and I don't know if I would have been able to figure this out on my own. But basically what happened is I think my solar charge controller was overcharging my batteries, and the batteries go into cell protection mode, and the BMS disconnects the cells from the solar charge controller, or from everything, right? And so the solar charge controller has nowhere to put that power, and so it causes a voltage spike. And so this motor driver saw a voltage spike and it died. I'd like to point out that everything else in my van also saw the same voltage spike, and nothing else has died. My inverter went into protection mode, but it wasn't fried. But anyways, I happened to have a spare motor driver with me, and so I was able to get my fan operating again, but I lost direction control, which is really nice to have, especially in the summertime, because if it's really hot out, I can reverse this from an exhaust fan to just blow outside air on me. So I have this dual pole, dual throw switch, which will allow me to switch direction. The problem is if I use this as an on-off switch, the motor driver will always be active, and I don't want that. So I'm actually going to install a separate power switch. And then with the power switch, when I turn it on, the fan will preserve the same speed and direction settings. So that'll mean I'm messing with the fan less to get it to do what I want it to do. So yeah, we're taking this fan apart again. Seems like I do this about once a month. This motor is starting to squeak again. This is the third motor that I've had in here, and I figure I'm just gonna email Ericssel, because every time I email them, they just send me a new motor. So obviously I won't be able to get the motor for a while, but if I can collect as many spare parts as possible for this fan while it's under warranty, I figure I might as well. So yeah, let's get to it.
Need our help, because that's what friends do, April. They help friends find happiness. Educated and friendly and fun.
Just tell us the damn word.
Effervescent. It needs to be effervescent.
Quick question about him.
It's fun. No one say anything.
All right, just curious.
Okay, let's check this thing out. It's got a covered toggle switch, because covered toggle switches are cool and make me feel like I live in a spaceship. And then I've got direction control. The old motor controller waited for the fan blades to stop spinning before switching directions, but this is a lot faster. It might burn out the windings on the motor. And then of course we've got speed control. And I have to be careful not to set the speed control too low, because the fan will literally stop spinning, which is another thing that will probably burn out the windings on the motor. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. This is it. 2.5 hours of meal prep. I guess I cooked some pasta too. I've always struggled with feeding myself, believe it or not. And I think part of the reason with that is that I want to give myself like grace and patience when it comes to building new habits. But you always have to eat. And I always feel guilty when I'm not eating basically straight vegetables. Vegetables are amazing, by the way. You should always eat as many vegetables as you can. But we all have like shame that we need to work through, and I don't know, I guess I'm proud of this. I also really hope that I don't have problems taking this through customs. It's generally not a good idea to try to bring a bunch of food across international borders, and I just totally spaced on that when I was grocery shopping. So yeah. Well, these dishes aren't going to do themselves. So, according to the manufacturer, the correct way of cleaning the screen is to rinse it in cold water with mild detergent. That, of course, is not effective in cleaning the screen at all. I usually clean this at the car wash with the pressure washer, but if you apply enough force to the screen over time, you will stretch it out, and then it becomes kind of bowed like this. And you can push it back down, but the suction from the fan will suck the screen up into the fan. I can imagine that if you're developing a product that's going to be used in RVs, it's hard to get good product testing because probably the engineers that are working on this don't live in RVs full-time. So you really need that experience of full-time use to understand your product's limitations. At least that's why I think most RV products are so poor, is because there's a different level of use and abuse that goes on when you're using a product full-time versus like testing it in a lab. So I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going to try to lightly dimple the center of the screen here.
Well,
Good morning.
somebody in the vehicle?
Just me.
Where do you live?
Colorado.
Where are you headed?
I'm heading through to Alaska.
Yeah, get some travel insurance. Have yourself covered.
Okay.
It's not worth it, honestly.
That makes sense. And then when I'm coming back through the border on Alaska, am I gonna have any problems?
Well, you're going to have to do the same thing you did today. You have to prove that you're not going to stay in Canada,
Okay.
right? I would say that make sure you have travel coverage that covers you from when you come back through. Have a really laid out plan. Like, I'm giving you a lot of like leeway today. Normally we'd pull you in and have a bit more of a discussion.
Gotcha.
So I would say before you come back to the Canadian border to come back down through, have your bank statements printed off.
Okay, so
Okay.
have bank statements, have travels and insurance, and have like an itinerary.
Have an itinerary of where you're going to be staying while you're in Canada, and like when you're getting out of Canada the other side, right? So
Gotcha.
just like having a bit more, but like I said, I'm giving you quite some leeway today.
Well, I appreciate your discretion. And
Yeah, so just make sure you get it figured out on your way back through.
Okay.
It's pretty easy to just turn around and go back to the U.S. here. It's not so easy when you get stranded up in Alaska. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, just have that stuff ready for when you come back south, okay?
Okay, thank you very
Have a
much.
good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Yikes. Oh man, I do not like border crossings. It was just so weird. Like, they were going to let me across the border. That guy was basically just telling me, like, hey, we could waste more of your time if we wanted to, but I'm just going to tell you what you should have done before you got to the border. And there is no clear information on this. Like, I scoured the websites last night. I had a whole list of items that I wanted to declare ready, and I didn't even get to that. He just waved me through, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell you about all the cheese and cooked vegetables and nuts and fruit that I have, but you'd think he might want to know about that. But I guess I didn't declare it fast enough, or I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.